Did Viking Berserkers really eat hallucinogenic mushrooms to enter their legendary, uncontrollable battle rage? It is an image that has been burned into our collective imagination. A warrior, wild-eyed and foaming at the mouth, chewing on the iconic red and white toadstool before charging into the shield wall. It's one of the most enduring images of the Viking Age, but is it true? In this video, we will unravel the myth from the reality and find a definitive answer to this fascinating question. Welcome to Sleeping Scribe, where calming history stories help you relax and unwind. Tonight, we journey into the mind of the Viking warrior. First, we'll examine the famous mushroom theory itself and why it became so popular. Then, we'll uncover the surprising evidence for other, more dangerous substances. And finally, we'll step into the world of a Viking warrior to understand the mind behind the fury. So, let us begin with the answer itself. The simple answer is, almost certainly not. While the theory of magic mushrooms is incredibly popular, there is no direct archaeological or literary evidence from the Viking Age to support it. Instead, modern scholarship suggests the Berserker state was likely induced by a combination of other factors. These factors may have included different psychoactive plants, elaborate ritualistic practices, and a form of self-induced battle hysteria that pushed the mind beyond its normal limits. So if it probably wasn't mushrooms, let's begin by understanding why the fungi became the prime suspect in the first place. If this hidden side of Viking history captures your imagination, a quick like on the video helps our channel continue to explore these stories. To understand why the mushroom theory has captivated us for centuries, we must first look at the compelling, yet entirely circumstantial, case for it. The idea did not originate in the Viking Age itself. Instead, it was born much later, in the Age of Enlightenment. The year was 1784. A Swedish academic and priest named Samuel de Demon was preparing his dissertation. Its title was an attempt to explain the berserk raging of the ancient Nordic warriors. He had read the old Norse sagas, filled with their vivid descriptions of warriors who howled like wolves and bit the iron rims of their shields. He sought a rational explanation for such seemingly supernatural fury. De Demon had no direct Norse evidence for his theory. Not a single saga mentions the use of mushrooms for battle. Instead, he made an intellectual leap, a clever piece of comparative anthropology. He had read accounts of Siberian tribesmen, shamans who used the fly agaric mushroom, known scientifically as Amanita muscaria, to enter ecstatic trances for their rituals. The parallels seemed undeniable. The mushroom contains powerful psychoactive compounds, specifically ibotenic acid and muscimol. These compounds can produce a wide range of effects, including agitation, severe muscle twitching, distorted vision, and powerful auditory hallucinations. On the surface, these symptoms seem to perfectly match the saga descriptions. The rage, the feats of inhuman strength, the subsequent period of deep exhaustion and weakness that followed the Berserker gang, or Berserker fit. Even the name of the mushroom, fly agaric, seemed to hint at its power, coming from the old practice of crumbling it into milk to stupefy and kill flies. It all seemed to fit. The image of a warrior consuming this potent fungus to become a beast on the battlefield was simply too compelling to dismiss. And yet, for all its narrative power, the theory rests on nothing but speculation. There is zero archaeological evidence. No Amanita muscaria remains have ever been found in a Viking grave, a warrior burial, or within the context of a Viking settlement. The entire theory is a ghost, built on a clever but unproven connection. With the mushroom theory on shaky ground, researchers looked for other candidates and found one in a common but dangerously potent plant known as henbane. While the fly agaric mushroom may be visually iconic, its effects are not a perfect match for a warrior. Nausea and vomiting are common side effects, which would surely incapacitate a fighter before they even reached the battlefield. Henbane, on the other hand, presents a much stronger pharmacological case. Known also as stinking nightshade, its scientific name is Hyoscyamus niger. It belongs to the same plant family as other infamous plants of European folklore, belladonna and mandrake. This unassuming plant contains powerful alkaloids, specifically hyoscyamine and scopolamine. These substances can induce a state of profound delirium. The symptoms align far more closely with the Berserker gang's state. They include extreme agitation and aggression, a complete loss of social inhibition, and a disconnect from reality that could render a warrior utterly fearless. Crucially, it also produces a flushing of the skin and a sense of warmth, which might explain why berserkers were said to throw off their armor and fight bare-chested. Most importantly, it creates this state of rage without the debilitating nausea of the mushroom. And unlike the mushroom theory, the case for henbane has hard evidence. In 1977, at a Viking fortress site in Fjerkrat, Denmark, archaeologists unearthed a small leather pouch from a grave. Inside, they found a large number of henbane seeds. The grave itself belonged to a high-status woman, believed to have been a seeress, a ritual specialist known in Old Norse as a volva. This discovery was monumental. It proved, without a doubt, that henbane was known to the Vikings and was used for its potent, mind-altering properties. Later European folklore would connect the plant to so-called witches' flying ointments, reinforcing its ancient reputation as a source of otherworldly power. It was a plant of magic, of ritual, and potentially of war. But to truly understand the Berserker, we must look beyond any substance and explore the possibility that the rage came not from a plant, but from within. Perhaps the answer lies not in pharmacology, but in psychology. The very name Berserker is often translated as bear shirt, implying a warrior who wore the skin of a bear. More than that, it suggests a warrior cult, a brotherhood that sought to channel the raw, untamable power of the great animal. They did not just wear the skin, they sought to become the beast. A similar group, the Ulfhener, were the wolf hides, who drew their strength from the spirit of the wolf. This was a powerful psychological tool, a way to shed one's human fears and inhibitions and adopt a more primal, ferocious persona. This transformation could have been achieved through ritual. Imagine the scene before a battle. A group of warriors, separated from the main army, begin their preparations. They might engage in rhythmic chanting, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic drone. They might perform a ritual dance, their movements becoming more and more frantic. Practices like prolonged hyperventilation, fasting, or enduring extreme temperatures can all induce altered states of consciousness without any chemical assistance. Then, add the sheer terror and adrenaline of an impending battle. The fight or flight response floods the body with hormones that produce enhanced strength, tunnel vision, and a profound insensitivity to pain. This battle frenzy is not unique to the Norse dot and Irish mythology. The hero Cuchulainn was known for his ryostrad, or warp spasm, a monstrous transformation that made him an unrecognizable and unstoppable force. The profound weakness and lethargy described in the sagas after the battle fit this explanation perfectly. It is the signature of a massive adrenaline dump, a complete physical and mental exhaustion following a dissociative episode. It is possible, even likely, that the Berserker state was a perfect storm, a combination of strong ale, terrifying pre-battle rituals, and the overwhelming psychological pressure of combat, all coming together to create a true warrior trance. Of all the potential sources for the Berserker's mage, mushrooms, henbane, or pure psychology, which one do you think makes the most sense? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now that we have explored the fire of battle, let us drift back to a quieter moment, to a morning in a Viking settlement. Let us see the world through a warrior's eyes. The first thing he becomes aware of is the sound. It is a low, gentle crackle. The sound of the long hearth fire, the heart of the longhouse. which has been tended all through the night and is now being coaxed back to life for the new day. He lies still for a moment longer on the hard wooden bench that has served as his bed. A thick, scratchy wool blanket is pulled up to his chin, a small island of personal warmth in the cool, cavernous space. He opens his eyes, but there is little to see. The air inside the great hall is thick with a hazy, blue-gray smoke, a permanent fog that always hangs just below the high timber-bird ceiling. Above, a single wide smoke hole allows a column of the smoke to escape, and in return, it allows a pale, soft pillar of the dawn's light to enter. The light cuts through the gloom, illuminating a slow, silent dance of countless dust motes and smoke particles. He sits up, the wool blanket falling away. The cold morning air touches his bare skin. All around him, the longhouse is slowly stirring. It is a vast, single room, built from heavy timbers with walls of turf and stone, and it is home to nearly 40 people. His entire extended family, from the gray-haired elders to the youngest sleeping children, all share this one space. The benches that line the long walls are for sitting and working by day and for sleeping by night. There is no privacy here. Life is lived in common. He hears the low murmur of voices from the far end of the hall, the soft shuffling of leather shoes on the packed earth floor. A child coughs, a brief, sharp sound in the quiet. From the far end of the longhouse, the section that serves as a buyer for the most valuable livestock during the harsh winter, he hears the gentle lowing of a cow. The air is a complex mixture of smells. The sharp, clean scent of burning birch wood from the hearth dominates all else. But beneath it are other, older scents. The smell of damp earth. The faint, musty aroma of unwashed bodies and woolen clothing. The lingering scent of last night's roasted meat, and the rich animal smell from the byre. He swings his legs over the side of the bench, his bare feet meeting the cold, hard ground. He reaches for a simple wooden chest beside his sleeping space, the only piece of furniture he truly owns. Lifting the lid, he pulls out a simple linen tunic and wool trousers, dressing quickly in the dim light. The day has begun. Soon, a large iron pot will be suspended over the central fire, and a simple porridge will be prepared for everyone to share. It is called grouter, a thick gruel of oats and barley, boiled with water or milk. If they are lucky, it might be sweetened with a handful of dried berries or a precious spoonful of honey. It is a simple meal for a simple life, a life lived far from the fury of the shield wall. As the world outside awakens, the warrior begins the quiet, deliberate process of tending to his gear, each piece a familiar weight and a trusted companion. This is a ritual as important as any prayer, a silent communion between a man and the tools of his trade. He does not hurry. He finds a space near the growing light of the hearth, sitting on his sea chest, and lays his axe across his knees. Its wooden haft is dark and smooth, polished by the grip of his own hand over countless hours. The blade, however, is his focus. Rust is the great enemy, a constant threat in the damp northern air, and his weapons are far too valuable to be neglected. He takes out a long, flat whetstone, its surface worn into a gentle curve from years of use. He spits on the stone, and then begins to draw it along the curved edge of the axe blade. The sound fills his small space. A rhythmic, whispering scrape. A song of steel being honed. Shing, shing. He works with a practiced, steady rhythm, turning the axe head over and over, ensuring the edge is perfectly even. He is not preparing for a battle today, but the habit is too deep to ignore. A sharp blade is a matter of pride and survival. After many long minutes, he stops. He runs his thumb gently, carefully, across the blade's edge. It is keen enough to shave a hair. Satisfied, he takes a small piece of wool cloth, damp with animal fat, and carefully wipes down the steel, leaving a thin, protective film against the damp. Next, he turns to his helmet. It is a simple thing, a conical cap of iron plates riveted together, There are no horns, no wings, no useless decoration. Such things are the foolish fantasies of storytellers. This helmet is purely for function, designed to turn away a glancing blow. He wipes the inside and outside, checking the leather straps that hold it to his head, ensuring they are not frayed. He takes a lump of beeswax and works it into the leather, keeping it supple and strong. He then inspects his shield. It is a large, round disc of lindenwood planks, bound together with an iron rim. The wood is light but strong, and in the center is a domed iron boss to protect his hand. The shield's face is covered in stretched leather, painted with a simple design. He checks it for cracks or splits that could betray him, running his hands over its familiar defensive surface. Though he owns a mail shirt, a byrnie of interlocking iron rings, he does not wear it every day. It is heavy and reserved for true battle. For now, he is content with his padded wool tunic. Finally, he checks the smallest of his blades, the seeks, a long, single-edged knife that hangs at his belt. It is a tool for everything, for cutting bread and meat, for carving wood, and if need be, for fighting in close quarters. Nearly everyone, man and woman, carries one. Like his axe, its blade is kept sharp and clean. This slow, careful maintenance is a meditation. It is a way of centering himself, of connecting with the objects that define his role in the world. It is a ritual of respect, a quiet promise between the warrior and his steel. His gear in order, he steps from the warmth of the longhouse into the cool morning air, beginning the familiar walk down the path that leads to the water. The change is immediate and profound. He leaves the enclosed, smoky, human world and enters the vast, living world of nature. The air here is clean and sharp, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine needles. A gentle mist hangs in the lower parts of the forest, weaving between the trunks of ancient trees. The path is not a road, but a simple track of beaten earth, worn smooth by the passage of countless feet over many generations. It winds its way down a gentle slope under the canopy of a great, silent forest. Towering pines reach for the sky, their branches forming a high, dark ceiling. Dappled sunlight breaks through in places, painting shifting patterns on the forest floor. The silver-white bark of birch trees stands out like pale ghosts against the darker greens and browns. His footsteps are quiet on the path, a soft crunch of twigs and last year's fallen leaves. The sounds of the settlement fade behind him, replaced by the sounds of the woods. He hears the high, clear song of a bird he cannot see. In the distance, a raven calls, its deep, croaking voice echoing through the trees. He passes great, moss-covered boulders, ancient stones that have rested here since the glaciers retreated long ago. The moss is thick and wet with morning dew, a vibrant, living green. This forest is not just a place to be passed through. It is the larder and the pharmacy for his people. They know the secrets of these woods. They know which mushrooms are safe to eat, which plants can be used for medicine, and which barks and berries will yield dyes for their wool. He is at home here. The Vikings had an intimate, respectful relationship with their environment. They knew the ways of the deer and the elk. They knew the territories of the bear and the wolf, the very creatures their most fearsome warriors sought to emulate. As he walks, the path continues its descent, and the air begins to change once more. The earthy scent of the forest begins to thin, and a new smell takes its place. It is a crisp, clean, and invigorating scent. The smell of salt. He is nearing the fjord. The dense trees begin to part, and through the gaps, he can see glimmers of light on water. The sound of the forest is joined by a new gentle sound, the distant murmur of waves. The enclosed path is about to open into the vastness of the sea, and there she rests on the dark, still water, the vessel that is both home and weapon, its carved prow staring out towards the vast and open sea. The warrior steps out from the tree line onto a stony beach. Before him, the fjord stretches out, a long, deep channel of dark blue water, its surface like glass in the calm morning air. Steep, tree-covered mountains rise sharply on either side, their peaks still shrouded in mist. And floating on that still water is the longship. It is a thing of breathtaking grace and power. Long, slender, and elegant, its lines are curved and beautiful. It seems less like something built and more like something that has grown. It is a marvel of engineering. The hull is made of overlapping oak planks, a technique called clinker building, held together with thousands of iron rivets. This construction makes the ship incredibly strong, yet flexible enough to bend with the motion of the waves. It is light and has a shallow draft, allowing it to skim over the water with incredible speed and to navigate far up shallow rivers where other ships cannot go. The prow curves high out of the water, carved into the menacing shape of a serpent's head, its empty eyes staring towards the horizon. These figureheads were often removable, put in place to inspire terror in their enemies and to ward off the evil spirits of the sea. He sees his crewmates already aboard, moving with the quiet, economic purpose of experienced sailors. They are preparing for a journey. A great, square sail of thick, red and white striped wool is being unfurled from the single, tall mast. It is treated with animal oils to help it shed water. He wades into the shallow, icy water, his leather boots crunching on the wet stones, and pulls himself aboard. He feels the familiar, gentle rock of the deck beneath his feet. He finds his place on one of the sea chests that will serve as his seat for rowing and his bed for sleeping. The steersman, standing at the stern, gives a low command. The final mooring rope is cast off. With a deep, rhythmic creak of wood, the crew dips their long oars into the water. The ship begins to move, gliding away from the shore with a series of powerful, synchronized strokes. Then, a breeze comes down from the mountains, catching the great woolen sail. It snaps taut with a sound like a thunderclap, and the ship leaps forward. The oars are shipped, and a new sound takes over. The whisper of the hull slicing through the water, and the gentle lapping of waves against its sides. He looks back at the shoreline, at the path leading back into the forest, at the wisp of smoke rising from the longhouse. They are all growing smaller. The ship has become his world now, a sliver of wood and will, leaving the shelter of the fjord for the endless possibilities of the open ocean. As the shoreline recedes, what single object from home do you think a Viking warrior would miss the most on a long voyage? If you found this journey into the Viking world calming, there are many more tales from our bedtime history collection waiting for you to explore. Thank you for joining us on this voyage into the past. We hope it has brought you some quiet understanding and a sense of peace. If you enjoyed your time here, please consider subscribing for more relaxing stories from history. Until next time, may your rest be deep and your dreams be peaceful.